Hey guys, it's Allian. Just wanted to do some training videos here for Warframe. You get 3 starter frames when you start. You get you get a choice between Excalibur, Mag, and Volt. Um, Excalibur's in melee, both Volt and wow, Volt and Mag are both DPS. I have Volt and Mag and not Excalibur because he's not my playstyle. So I wanted to give the rundown on these and to make it a little bit more fair and realistic, I'm running this without mods or upgrades just because you guys aren't going to have the same mods and upgrades I do. So, this is the Mag Prime, slightly different, but all the abilities and stuff are the same, so won't make a difference for the purpose of the video. Shield's level 30, so all of these abilities are a little bit higher, but that's the closest I can do. So, passive on her, nearby items gravitate toward Mag for easier to collection. Basically, you suck up everything in the area towards you. It's nice for collecting loot. You don't have to run all over the place. Pull. Pretty self-explanatory. 25 energy, 25 range, 300 points of damage. Everybody in front of you just gets yoinked to you. Or at least in your direction. Magnetize. So this is a dual effect. Generally, you're going to want to put it on somebody else. So when you tap it, enclose the target in a magnetic field that ensnares nearby enemies and deals damage over time. Field pulls polarized shards that orbited mag and shrapnel into the deadly mix. The flip of that is you can hold it and surround yourself in a magnetic field that absorbs ranged attacks and reflects damage back in a destructive cone. So targeted on enemies, it's a 4-meter radius. Damage multiplier is 2, damage absorption is 25%. It will help bring down enemies, especially if you put it on higher level enemies than you necessarily have the capacity or the wish to deal with. For you, it's a 120-degree cone that it blows back out in. Absorb 25 points of damage a second, 2-time multiplier, and then shrapnel damage is an extra 500. So whatever you can absorb for that 25 seconds gets multiplied twice and then repelled back out in a cone. Honestly, it's a fun ability just to mess around with. Polarize. Intermittent energy pulse that depletes enemy shields and armor as it restores ally shields. This is helpful because it gives you a little bit of support for the team, but most of the time she's not in a support role. So debris left over from the pulse becomes polarized shards, which works with your first and second. Nearby polarized shards orbit mag and cut enemies, infecting bleed status, which is constant health drain. So, 8-meter range, 400 points of damage, 5-second duration, 2.5 points multiplier for your damage. And her fourth is the fun one. Throw everybody up in the air, squish them, deals 1,500 points of damage, costs a bunch, 18-meter radius. It's just fun as long as you got the energy or if you need a few seconds. So jumping into the tips, it says cast Polarize to strip enemy armor and shields before casting Crush. So since this does magnetic damage, reducing their armor and shields will increase the damage on this one. Skipping through there, cast Pull to pull enemies away from allies that are needing revived or are going down. So gives you a little bit of control on the battlefield. Cast Magnetize on high priority enemy units. We kind of covered that already, but then all of the nearby damage goes to them. So it's fun on like the big gunners and other stuff. Magnetized targets take increased damage from pull and polarize. We already covered that. Projectile weapons with punch through are especially devastating inside magnetized bubbles, circling through enemies multiple times. You won't have punch through mods until later, so it doesn't impact you, but certain ranged weapons do carry through targets. Multiple magnetized bubbles can be placed on different enemies at once. If the limit's reached, the first bubble will detonate if the target's no longer alive. So, if you are in a higher level zone than you should be because you hit the wrong button or thought you had it, this can save your butt. Magnetized bubbles explode and deal blast damage if the originating target dies before the ability has ended. So when you get a little higher and you can start killing them while they're in the bubble, that just detonates it for you. Cast Polarize to replenish shields of defense objectives if they're getting low. So in addition to restoring your party's shields, it will also restore the shield on your defense missions or anything else that you're supposed to be protecting that's taking damage. Extremely helpful, especially if there's no supports in the team. Crush grants shields to nearby allies, including companions when cast, which is just helpful. So, she's max level because I don't have a spare mag that I keep laying around that's not, but no mods on her. So this is as close as I can get her to starter, and this is a level 0 weapon, also with no mods on it. So, that makes it a little bit more fair here. I'm just gonna run in here, make sure that's still in single. This is one of my go-to missions just because it's high enough level that it demonstrates, and normally I use it for XP farming. It's infested. Infested don't like flamethrowers, and I run with my flamethrower a lot. So
you must provide cover for a lone Tenno operative. Set off the alarms and keep the infested busy.
set
The
that off.
infested are releasing toxic spores into the area.
This is a tricky
The
we'll get into
emergency
later.
delivering is
I
your
won't
only
ruin
chance
that.
for survival.
So we run down here. Pull just yanks everybody into a pile. Now that is obviously a ton of fun, just because you can. That attracts enemies, and that will deal damage when it detonates here. As you can see, it's doing constant damage there. Now the flip side of that, it's got another 3 seconds to go, and I think the target died, so that it's just absorbing people, and then it detonates. If we go over here and find some more people, because those ones all kind of died, we can hold it and put it on herself. And let's figure out why it's not working.
Life support on the...
There it goes. It glitched out. So I'm absorbing basically 7,000 points of damage right now. And then here in a second, I'm up to 10. It should detonate in a cone. Polarize isn't going to do much because that's just shields. And to be fair, none of these guys have shields. Crush is your fun one. Throw everybody up in the air and squish them. And then if they live, you can always yank them.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
So that's kind of her rundown.
I
am obviously out of energy, so I'm not going to finish off this mission because I wanted to cover Volt as well, and I got things to do today. It's the day before the 4th of July. It's the 3rd of July. I got stuff to prep and stuff to pack and all of that fun stuff for everything. But until then, we're going to make videos. So, Volt, as one could assume, is electrical. So, jumping into abilities here. Passive, grounded movement generates an electrical charge, building up to 10 damage per meter that's unleashed with the next attack. So, bonus damage for running around while you're on the ground. Shock, you shoot lightning at people. Links up through 5 people, and the extension is from the target. 458 points of damage, 16 points of range. Why is that looking like?
Operator,
yeah,
remembered well how the Tenno
it reset my
themselves.
page. Like, that's a little high. Damage, 200 points, 15 points of range. Speed. This is useful, so you and everybody in the area get a speed multiplier on your running speed. Default's 1.75, and an increase of 25% on your reload speed. 12-second duration, 25-meter radius. Nice when you need to get to an objective quickly or get out of an area quickly. This is an electrical shield. They show it in the video of them picking it up and moving it. I don't remember if that's currently a thing or whether you have to get an upgrade mod to do that, so we'll check that here in a second. It's been a while since I've played Volt. But if you shoot through the shield, it gives you a 50% electrical damage increase on your weapons. If you have a weapon that already does electrical damage, that is really effective. It's also effective for tanking down things that are higher levels than you should be trying to kill, like your specters and stuff at the end of your worlds. This can give you a leg up because that extra damage per hit adds up. Fourth is discharge. Massive AoE electrocution. Plus, people are paralyzed and stunned while they're kind of electrocuted. So, 20-meter radius, 8-meter effect, but a 20-meter radius. 4-second duration, 1,200 points of damage per second, and then a 6-second effect duration, which is the paralysis. So, if we jump into tips, cast speed to cover distance quickly, and rapidly build damage for Volt's passive. That can help give you a little bit more damage if you need it. Cast shock on priority targets, so your higher level ones, to stun them while you're working on bringing them down so they're not attacking you. Cast shock on an enemy affected by discharge to release an electric burst to nearby enemies. While they're electrocuted, that does kind of bounce around a little bit better, so that's convenient. Electric shield also increases the critical damage of weapons fired through it. So that's an additional damage boost. Cast and shoot through multiple electric shields to stack the electricity damage from each shield. These scale. So that can give you, 200% electrical damage increase in no time. Cast multiple electric shields around a defense point to protect it from angles. That is helpful and also gives your team a higher DPS output. Okay, pick up Volt's electric shield to be used as a mobile cover while on the move. Sprint into enemies to knock them over. So yes, they did change that at one point. And then all of your elemental damage will combine with the electrical damage for a status effect. I'm not going to go into that right now because that's a little bit further down the road. Cast shock and discharge on a tightly packed group of enemies to chain the stun from electricity status effect. We kind of already covered that. Stun enemies affected by discharge longer with duration mods. Volt is definitely a strength and duration kind of frame. Mag, you can kind of set it up duration and strength. Generally, duration and strength is the way to go for most frames. Cast shock on an electric shield to electrify the shield, causing it to deal electric damage to enemies that pass through it. So, in addition to being an electrical shield, now it's like, running through an electric fence. Allies within range of Volt when speed is cast will also benefit, but can backflip if they wish to opt out of its effects. There are times where you do not want to be flying across the map for one reason or another. They finally gave us options to back out. So, I will need a secondary weapon for this. Do I have? I'll just take those. So, jumping back into the same mission here. And I've got it set on single player, so I don't have to worry about dropping in and out of parties, because that's annoying for everyone.
You must provide cover for a lone operative.
So you see there's a counter next to the shields and stuff up in the top corner up here. So 489 points, and then the more damage you you can just run around indefinitely and charge that up. So it caps out at 1,000 points. I think that scales up with strength, but I will have to check that here in
A
a
steady
second.
stream of toxic spores is being released
So your
into the
electrical
area.
shield,
Hold on.
you
Emergency
can do that,
is
which
inbound.
gives you, I'm getting an extra 35 points of damage on that. Here's your electrocute, so it just kind of stuns them all. Speed boost, it definitely helps. And then you can just zap them some more. Now it's showing, oops. Sorry, 1 second here, let me get some energy going. So it's showing hold X to pick up the shield. And they changed it so it works with your primary, which is really nice because it used to not do that. And then you can hit X again to set it down. And then your fourth is always going to be your fun one.
Get ready
So
for a capsule.
let's see if we can get a party over here. Looks like about as good as we're going to get. So that just, it lights everybody up, stuns them all, and temporarily electrocutes them. Volt is honestly just fun to play. I like Mag as well. Both are solid DPS frames, you can't go wrong. But there's something satisfying about just
I've
zapping
delivered a
people
life
to death.
support capsule to the area.
And then what they were saying
Activating it will
earlier
buy you more
is if I stack a shield and a shield and a shield, this gives me, I'm getting about 45, well, I was getting about 45 points worth of electrical. So that's pretty much that. Now, obviously, the main thing that everybody wants to know is, okay, so it's a starter frame. Both Volt and Mag are still solid. Pretty much through. So I will get back on here in a little while and run what they do when they're actually modded out properly. So I will talk to you all later.